Hey, how you guys doing today? So, we're finally going to go over results for the worst subunit. So, what exactly is that? So, a while back, I created a multi-step part poll, two parts. The first part where I created this kind of poll where you guys voted, and there will be for recreating the worst possible subunit unit you can make following the rules given by the staff originally. So for me subunits, we had leaders. So Honoka and Ellie and Umi could not be part of the same units, but beyond that, you can make whatever you want. Aqua didn't really have any rules, and for Nichigaku, we had the 2-3-4 combination. So our goal is, and if we went back in time and said, you know what, we're gonna try to make the worst grouping possible that we can think of, rather, than obviously the best. So obviously this was definitely a strange idea, which I was offered by someone in the community. So we went ahead and did that. So of course that was the first part that was done a while ago, and now I finally recently closed the second part. The second part of the poll is where I took my 10 favorite ideas for each individual subunit grouping, which one of them being mine, because biasm and all that. But I took you guys' explanations and paired them up and took a total of 9 of your guys' options and have you guys vote on what you think was your favorite worst subunit, I guess the best worst subunit, if that makes sense. And then of course I would accumulate all the results and put them together. So let's take a look at it. So first we're going to go over the Muse subunit. So this is just a pie chart of all the choices, and of course only one of them can be the worst, or I guess the least favorite out of all of them. So here is just a chart with all the choices, and of course we have one option being the worst, and I'm going to head and give you some better visual looks at it. So here's a visual way to look at it. I have divided them by the top the rows. So for example, we had Kotori, Rin, and Ellie, and the explanation for it is here. So the reasoning for this, which was for mine, this was actually my choice that actually ended up winning, unlike the other ones you'll see. But other people gave a reasoning, and more or less this reasoning is that basically we try to separate, so not a lot of girls have connections, try to separate by first, second, and third year, and be able to see how changing that dynamic would make it so that they don't really fit, as well as kind of some voice considerations as well. So of course you have to consider dynamics where they have styles as well. When you take a look at the current subunits, so try not to recreate it. Now each one has a different reasoning, but that's kind of the gist of most of these combinations. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. Of course the next group would be for Aqua again. There wasn't really any rules. I know there were quote-unquote people who acted like leaders because they technically weren't allowed to be combined, but I did not put that in consideration because that wasn't an actual rule. So we had like a combination like Yohane and Hanamaru, which that was one of the duos from the Summer Vacation album, but we also added Hanamaru, so that's not actually a combination. So these are the 3 combinations we have here, and of course the explanation is shown here of why these combinations were chosen. Of course this one was not mine. If you can see in the brackets, that's the name of the person who submitted that choice, or at least that's the name they gave me, which should be Tony Dork. So if you're wondering why this person submitted this one, this is the reasoning why. And of course we have Nichigaku, the last big group as of right now. We'll have to see about future groups like Liella and their subunits. But for this one, of course, we had a duo, trio, and quartet. So for the duo, we had Rina and Karen, which of course doesn't seem to work at all. And then we had Ai, Shizuku, and Kanata, again not working. And then we had the quartet of the rest of the girls. And generally, people have been focusing on the dynamic of the duet the most, because that's probably the easiest, because you can try to make the most different styles and personalities. And well, most of the quartet options were kind of the leftovers, but generally the best you could do is having 2 styles that are similar and combine them. So 2 girls with similar styles and then 2 girls of a different style, and then try to put them together, because then we got 2 girls of 2 very contrasting styles, which obviously don't mix very well. So that's more or less the results for Nichigaku. And then of course the last one, which was the combination of a subunit where we had a girl from any of the 3 groups. So the idea was to take one from Muse, take one from Aqua, and then take one from Nichigaku, and just make the worst possible subunit. If we were to break rules and to say we can make subunits out of any girls, this was also purely for fun, and this should never ever happen as far as I know, is that we're going to group these girls, just make up the worst possible subunit we could possibly think of. So here is of course the results, and we had the worst by a relative margin is going to be Nico, Daya and Kanata, which honestly is a dynamic that won't work because a lot of them have some very different styles. Of course, we have Nico, who's always going to be goofy and silly. We're gonna be Daya, who's gonna be very strict and yelling at Nico, and then we have Kanata, who is more in the background and sleeping and is just gonna let this happen. So of course we're gonna have Nico and Daya fight a lot. And the voice styles and their styles of music probably won't mix very well at all. Nico is generally more of that goofy, energetic kind of style. Daya's definitely got more of that traditional, elegant style with her deeper voice, which contrasts with Nico's. And we have Kanata, who has more of that sleepy style. I think Kanata could potentially work with Daya here, even though Daya's gonna style might be a little bit more, I don't know. Well, Kanata's style has been kind of interesting, especially because her first song is obviously more of a slow, kind of tired feeling because it's about her sleeping, and her more recent songs have been faster, which I know that's probably because people have been asking for, and I think Kanata does a very well job with all the sped up instrumentation and just overall melody and tempo. So I do think there could be some leeway, but I just don't see how Kanata can work with Nico whatsoever. So I do think this is definitely a dynamic that just doesn't seem to make sense. But you know, I have been surprised by Love Live and the fact that they can make these girls be able to do stuff that doesn't really seem to make sense a lot, especially with some pairings. So I'm sure if Love Live really wanted to, they could take these pairings and make them work somehow, some way. At least that's what they're able to do with their excellent writing and music making. So let me know what you guys think about these in the comments below. How do you feel about all these combinations? Okay, of course, these are the names of all the people who participated in this poll, so thank you guys who participated in this poll. I really do appreciate it. This is only possible because you guys participate in these polls. Of course, this is not about my opinions, but this is about your guys' opinions. So I really do appreciate you guys doing it. And of course, I have more polls like this. I have a link in the description where it takes you to Google Sheet, where I have a bunch of other polls that are not necessarily like this, but other rankings and all such for the girls as well as songs and etc. So let me know if you're interested in more kind of videos like these, and we'll have to see what the new subunits will be in the future. We'll have to see how Nichikaku will evolve with new girls, as well as Liella whenever that happens. Thank you guys for watching, and hope to catch you guys in another video soon.